So the kind of people you meet on Tinder are.
Yeah, so most of the times they might not be who you think they are.
Greetings, discerning listeners. In this episode, I'm joined by a close friend for an unfiltered conversation delving into the nuanced realms of Korea. From the intricacies of dating in a modern world to exploring the depths of culture and confronting the realities of racism, our discussion is both candid and mature. So, trigger warnings for anyone who has dealt with any of these issues. Just please, at this point, you should turn this off. We're going to have a just transparent, honest conversation. So now, if you're okay with that, join us as we navigate through these complex topics, offering insights, personal anecdotes, and perhaps a few laughs along the way. This is not your average conversation. It's a deep dive into the real, unfiltered aspects of life in Korea. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on this journey together. Anyways, hello, Andre. Please introduce yourself.
All right, what up, informalities, viewers, listeners alike? Welcome to episode 2. My name is Andre. I am also go by the name of Park Chae-soo, currently residing in South Korea. Been here for 6 years, going on 7. I'm pretty much just an English teacher here, Tekken player, struggling dart player, baseball fanatic, and the like. But all the same, still enjoying my life here.
Thanks. Struggling dart player. What are you talking about? You're pretty good.
I'm trash.
Oh
What are
gosh.
you talking about?
But Andre, man, we go back so far. My gosh, we both started teaching together at the same area. And I don't know, he's just been a valuable friend and just very good, honest, transparent person that, he's been with me throughout this whole process. I'm tearing up here. Anyways, yeah, we went through some fun times together, Andre,
Mhm.
as a consistent, like a cornerstone, a rock that just doesn't move, is
I
how I would
appreciate that.
describe you.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that.
In the
Yeah,
positive
because I
sense, like not
yeah,
stubborn,
and
but as
I
in like,
but yeah, I would think of you all the same, especially when we had our crew working pretty much in that same location. All of you were also kind of cornerstones when we were in the midst of where we were working, and then even when we all were finally gone, you still very vital points of my life, right?
yeah.
So that's why I consider all of you,
Mm.
right, my closest friends. Like I'll have my friends here and there, but none as close, none as close as you, and the others that I'm talking about. I don't know if I should be mentioning it, but shout out to them as well.
Thank you. The first very important question: which
Okay,
app? So again, sorry, backtracking to my
backtrack.
audience that we're gonna be talking about many different things: dating, working, the kind of racism that people feel have felt here, or the ones that you've encountered.
Hmm.
But overall, we're gonna just start easy and light. So now we have to ask that important question first: which app should foreigners use? Tinder, Bumble, or Grinder?
Oh God, here we go with these dating apps. Are we serious right now? We're talking about dating apps in South Korea. I can't
You'd be
believe this.
surprised
Now,
as soon as a foreigner comes here, they're just the first thing that they experience is kind of loneliness if they're in a bad branch. My gosh, you know that.
yeah, but honestly, and this is coming from somebody that has used Tinder before and has used Bumble before. If I were to give you a choice between these two, I tell you neither one of them. To be honest with you, absolutely none of them. Here's why: dating apps, especially Tinder, they have a bad reputation here in South Korea. And
Really?
now, yes, there was a point where they were trying to promote it in a good light, as similar in the light of Friendster. Now, I don't even know if you remember what
Oh my gosh, I
Friendster
do remember
is,
Friendster. Don't go there.
but people tend to treat, or at least trying to think, that Tinder's the same way. Like, no, 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 no. Tinder is not like Friendster, okay?
Wait,
It's
are you
not it's
saying the
not like Cyber.
foreigners or
The
Koreans would treat?
Koreans too. Well, the Koreans really. The Koreans really. Now,
Oh,
I can't speak for the foreigners, because many of them have probably had the app before they came into South Korea. Maybe they had some luck in their respective countries, but sometimes that's not really always going to work out here in South Korea, because the amount of profiles I've seen where it's like friends only, I have a boyfriend, and all this other stuff like that, I'm just like, why are you here? Why are you even on this app in the first place, looking for something that you can get just about anywhere, but then people are looking for something a little more on the romantic side or maybe on the intimate side, if you get what I'm saying there,
Mm.
right? So that's my big thing. Bumble and Tinder, yeah, the perception is not very good. And let's be honest with ourselves, dating apps have actually been on a huge decline for some time now. A very long time ago, they had a little golden age. Everything was good. You get to meet people, maybe go on a date here and there. I've been on a date courtesy of Tinder. I've been on a date courtesy of Bumble. Didn't really manifest in anything, but that's okay,
I'm gonna look
right?
this up though. Dating apps in Korea.
Hmm.
Dating
But
apps.
it's also universal too. The fact that these apps are on the decline, and here's a couple other reasons why. Um, these dating apps, they are not an interpretation of who you could possibly meet in real life. I want you to keep in mind that most of the time, especially for the men's side of life, there's a lot of scammers on many of these apps. They try to get you to try to put your money in false stocks and all this other stuff like that. I've seen that happen many times on end. Some try to get me, and I block them right away. Let's not forget catfishing still exists even in South Korea. Let's be honest with ourselves. You could have someone that might look as good as, okay, let's, Isaac, just throw an actress name out there that I might know. Korean actress.
Uh,
Korean actress.
Hyori. Oh no, that's not an actress name.
Yuri, that's oh yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's her. The first generation K-pop baddie. Okay, we'll go with her. So let's say you may see somebody looks like Yuri. You swipe right, you get a match. You talking about going on a date with this person, and then you get there, and they look like in the face.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you can't say
Plus,
that name. You have to blank that out. It's okay. Let's go back there.
I'm
Let's go
sorry.
back. So, yes, according to online, there's not enough research at the moment, but it does seem to be popular in Korea, but more women. So the kind of people you meet on Tinder are,
Yeah, so most of the times they might not be who you think they are.
yeah.
Okay, so sometimes they could be scammers,
Hmm.
right? They're trying to get some money out of you, some money that you definitely don't have. Sometimes you can get catfished. So you'll see somebody, you think that's who they are, like, oh my God, oh my God, they're baddie and all this stuff like that. And then if you set the date up, they're definitely not who they look like. And that's also disappointing. There's something about apps that people don't necessarily understand. And this is something that steered me from dating apps, I think, for good now. The goal of the apps is basically to keep you single, because if they were able to get everybody on the app to match with somebody else, they're basically going to lose business. And
Hmm.
also the fact that when it comes to these apps, the potential swiping is skewed, right? So for men, they're not as picky, and they'll tend to swipe on about 50 to 60% of the profiles that they'll see. So they're really trying to shoot. It's a shooting guard thing, shoot to shoot,
Mm.
and men have to shoot here. Women, on the other hand, way too picky. They'll
Oh.
maybe swipe right on 10 to 20% of those matches. And honestly, those profiles, they're probably extremely popular, and it's to a point that even if the woman does get the date, they may not get any potential relationship out of it because they're so popular. They're still like having their fun out here. It
So
just
pause for a second. I
doesn't.
think I gotta add a couple things. So for those of you, my audience, like I didn't really use Tinder. I had it for a brief little bit. I was still unnatural to the idea of swiping. I would still go out and meet people. But regarding to you, which demographics are we specifically talking though? Were you just, your natural inclinations, were they more towards American, Canadian, like Western, or are you talking about what you've experienced with the Korean women, let's say?
Yeah, I would say more so on the Korean side, because in due honesty, even when I was in the States, I didn't necessarily use dating apps like that. I just kind of took it more so as just a chance while I was here, especially when we had the whole issue with social distancing and COVID. That was just the big reason as to why I had used Tinder at that time,
Then
and Bumble too.
what would you say like the profiles on Tinder like?
Well, It kind of depends. Sometimes you will get somebody that has a pretty well thought out profile. No picture of themselves. They have a picture of food for some reason or another, or an aesthetic skyline. Like, wait a second, what about your face? Or you will have someone who, I mean, their face is there, but then they're with a bunch of people, so you don't necessarily know who's who unless they blur themselves out or they cut
Mm.
themselves out, right? You will also have the ones that are, I guess you could say, heavy set, and all you'll get is a headshot,
Uh,
honestly. But there's really, for a lot of the females, the female profiles, many of them don't necessarily put a lot of effort in what it is that they want to say in their profiles. And if and my logic is, if you're trying to make yourself more interesting than somebody else, you're still gonna have to put some sort of effort into getting people to kind of understand you, or at least have some sort of curiosity about you. Because if there's nothing on your profile except the fact that this is your name, this is your age, this is your gender, and then there's nothing else, what else is there to go off of?
okay. Well, then let's talk about Bumble then. How do you feel about Bumble? Okay, so for those of you
It's
who
the
don't
same.
know, my current relationship, I actually met her through Bumble.
What?
Yeah.
You never told me, yo, you never told me that.
What? How did I not tell?
Dead serious, you never told me that. I just met her. I was like, okay, maybe they met up like somewhere in person. Maybe he was out just dancing. She was like, I'm feeling this dude. Let's see what's going on. That's what I thought. That's what I
No,
thought.
no, no. I met her through Bumble. Yeah, she had a really good, interesting description.
Mhm.
It's gonna be kind of funny, but I went through that bad experience, and then I really wanted to meet good, strong woman as a friend
Mhm.
because through my life I've met a lot of toxic women. That includes some people I've grew up with, could be
Mhm.
family members, and so I just didn't know what a healthy woman would look like. And
Right.
so I wanted to be friends with them and get to know them, and so that's why I made Bumble. Yes, Bumble has the friend option. At the time, they only paired you with like the same gender. And
Did they?
so I couldn't really.
Did you check your preferences at that time?
I
Because that
did.
never happened with me.
I can't remember. This was a while back. I put it on like a man searching for women, and then I put in like looking for a friend. And
Mhm.
as I was going through, there's this one profile that was just like, basically her description was Craig David was an underrated singer. And I was like,
He
yes,
is.
he is so underrated. And so I just
He
like messaged
is.
her, you are so right. Let me tell you about this. And
What
then,
what was your favorite
um,
Craig David song? Now that we talking about
oh
this.
my gosh, Walk Away. So for those of you who don't know who Craig David is,
He may not have the vocal range. Oh yeah, 7 days.
Oh yeah, that one,
That-
and the DJ Premier remix. That was crazy to me.
oh, Don't
Absolutely
Love You No
crazy.
More.
Mm.
That was nice.
The one that made me laugh was What's Your Flavor? Remember that one?
Oh my gosh, yes. And then he had Insomnia.
Mm.
Yeah. I liked his old songs.
Yeah.
But definitely he is a very underrated singer.
Yeah. Very. It's a shame he didn't. It's a shame he didn't last as long as I thought he was going to.
yeah,
Because he
cause
he came in booming, like real real sick. Like he came in with a bang, and then out of nowhere it just kind of fizzled out.
yeah, but he was competing against, I believe at the time, Boys to Men, Brian McKnight, Babyface. So
Mm-mm.
it was
Yeah,
very
90,
difficult.
yeah, 90s R&B was no joke.
Yes, and so
None.
yeah, to me, when she wrote that, I was just hooked, and then we became friends, met in Hongdae, and then after that, just now we're together.
Mm.
Yes, very strong, healthy woman.
That
I learn
yeah,
a lot
that
from her
is
every day. Someone I look
this
up
is
to.
everyone. This is new information for me. Like I just met her and I just thought it was just something natural that happened in person. Well, I guess sometimes the dating apps work.
I
Sometimes,
thought I
but
told
not
you.
all the time.
I'm
But
sorry.
sometimes they do.
But yes, okay. So how do you feel about Bumble? I was only on there for a little bit. Once I met my
Mhm.
match, I'm off of it. So that business model doesn't work. It doesn't scale.
Pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same business scale, in my personal opinion.
Mm.
I mean, as I said before, I was able to get a date off Tinder. I was able to get a date off Bumble. I mean, in the same swiping issues, they still exist for both men and women. My personal opinion, and obviously we know when it comes with Bumble, it's the women that have to make the first move.
Mm.
But this that app has shown me firsthand that women have no skills when it comes to when it comes to communication. Yeah, they have no game, or as the kids would say, they have no riz. Their riz is on E at this moment. Because yeah, you'll match it, and all you get is a hey, and then there's really nothing else. and then it's up to you to like uphold the rest of the conversation. It's just kind of like she texts, "Hey, now don't bore me," and then it becomes like, okay, question, reply, question, reply, but she's not asking maybe not asking anything about you, the male, and that's when things get really
To
awry.
be clear though, is this both you've encountered this issue with both Korean and foreigners?
I would say most so Korean, maybe Korean American possibly. The last one, she was Native Korean and she was pretty decent. She was pretty decent with English. It just didn't work out because of her religion.
Uh,
Yeah, she was looking for someone with the same religion as her, and I'm not affiliated with one, and
yeah.
that's what she did. I was like,
Just
okay, that's
just
fair.
to be clear to my audience, Andre here is extremely good at Korean. He loves the language. I've never seen a man eat so much kimchi as just the main course in my
It's
life.
fiber. It's fiber. It helps you keep your weight
Yeah.
down. All right.
I have
Yeah.
to have it with like rice or some other meal, but you just take it like it's salad and it's a
I mean, it's just cabbage. That's all it is. It's cabbage. Most of the time, it's cheap, depending on where you get it, and it just kind of works out. Especially if you have maybe late night hungers and you just want to have something light.
so
There you go. Is that or tanmuji, whatever you prefer.
it's not just your Korean though. You've gone as far as learning the culture in terms of how to hold your chopsticks,
Mm-hmm.
pour alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So I would say you've gone above and beyond the typical just learning the language kind of aspect.
Yeah.
So I guess just to end off the dating scene a little bit or a bit, how's
Fun dating.
Grinder?
Grind. What the hell's grinder?
Okay, you've never used it. Me too. I think the app works in Korea. I have no idea. Please let me know what your experience has been in the comments down
Is
below.
that? Wait,
Okay.
is that the one? Is that the one that's for the LGBTQ community? Is
What
that
is
the one?
Grind?
Because I think that's what that app might be for.
Oh yeah, it is the world's largest social networking app for LGBTQ.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully it works here. I don't know.
Well, that's also because we're also in a very conservative country. The whole LGBTQ community is well, I don't want to say it's small, but it's underrepresented if you want to say
Mm.
that. And sometimes it does get a little dicey depending on numerous situations, right?
Mm.
To each their own, to own their each. I can't
Mm.
complain too much about it.
I met a few coworkers like that, and they're yeah, I have no issues with them. They're super wonderful. What like because you're telling me about the struggles here. What qualities do you value most in a partner, and how do you think they contribute to a healthy relationship?
So, I mean, aside from the whole attraction thing or physical attraction, honesty is a big one.
Mm.
If you're willing to tell me anything that's on your mind, maybe about myself, maybe about the relationship, and maybe in terms of making it better, so on and so forth. That's always helpful because I'm usually a good listener, even though yeah, I'm logical just like any other man, and then we could just see what's going on. But the thing is, you have to be honest and you have to be able to tell me these things. You can't hide them. Number one, can't hide them. Number one, you can't use Jedi mind tricks because men don't work that way. You can't just give these weird. I'm serious. You can't give these weird signals and expect us to understand or to pick it up as if we're Charles Xavier from the X-Men. That's not how it works. You talk, I listen, I respond, you listen, right? That is what we call a conversation, which leads to hopefully a resolution. All right. So that's one thing. Loyalty, and I know loyalty is kind of far and few. That's kind of almost like a myth these days because people like to cheat. People like to cheat a lot. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But someone that is down for me from beginning to end, whatever the end might lead to. I prefer that because honestly, I feel like I'm a very loyal person. I've only been in maybe 3 relationships, and I can vouch for the fact that cheating has never crossed my mind at any point in time. Although there's this weird aura about when you are in a relationship, and Isaac, you've probably had this happen to you too. Actually, you did, and I don't even have to say any names. Where since you've been in your relationship, you've noticed this aura. Suddenly, girls are now, or more girls want to be around you, or trying to scoop you up or something like that. That's happened a lot for me when I've been in relationships. So loyalty is big. Loyalty is big because if you're expecting me to be loyal and not mess around with these girls, which is easy for me,
Mm.
I'm expecting you to do the same as my significant other,
Mm.
right? The other one, genuine interest. This gets overlooked. A girl that actually likes you for you and the things that you do, doesn't judge your hobbies, doesn't judge your background, doesn't judge whatever it is that you like.
There's a thing in Korea where there are times where just men hang out with men, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's foreigners will see it as like, oh yeah, they're just hanging out with their boys, but it's very different. It's like the girl won't ever
Yeah.
be a part of that men's circle.
Mhm.
Like for me, I don't. When I hang out with you, I'll be like, yeah, I'm hanging out with the boys, cool. And then sometimes I'll just bring out my girlfriend along with me too. In
Right.
Korea, you really rarely will ever see the girlfriend come out to any of the guys' events. It's like their whole life is compartmentalized. The relationship is at home, and
Mhm.
that's it. And then they make another separate group of friends where it's like my boyfriend's friends, a few of my boyfriend's friends, and a few of my girlfriend friends. But
Mhm.
they're never allowed into each other's world, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's odd in due honesty, but that's very true because my third relationship did happen here in South Korea,
Mm.
and yeah, that pretty much happened in the same manner. So if I wasn't kicking it with Isaac and the others, there would be times I would be kicking it with my girlfriend. It would just be the two of us. She never met them. They never
Mm.
met her. It was kind of odd, but I never said anything about it.
I think what was also different about Canada, it's like if you were to tell your girlfriend, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with the boys." "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, we're just gonna like go fishing, play basketball. We have things to do." And
Right.
typically, we're a little bit more transparent and honest, unless you're gonna do something mischievous. But
Hmm.
in Korea, it's like if the girlfriend ever asks the guy, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" Is they're just gonna be like, "Oh, we're just gonna hang out, just gonna chill." And
And
it
do
could
what?
be PC room, like PC bang, but
Peace
that's
bomb.
for older like people within our age. It's rarely that. They will typically just go to a bar and act as if they're not in a relationship. A
Hmm.
bar or a club. It's really interesting. If I'm in a relationship, I just don't do those things. Why set
Right.
myself up for
Right.
failure?
Sad but true. 그런
Mm.
미치창남들. That's just something that's bothered me too, especially because, and well, let me back up just ever so slightly. Since we're talking about cheating and things of that nature,
Mm.
you just probably just heard me say a phrase, 그런 미친창남들, which I wanna go ahead and get this out of the way if
Can you say that
nobody's
a little bit louder?
그런 미친창남들.
Ah, okay, okay. Yes, yes. 그런
For those that have
미친.
not been here yet and have plans to do so, hopefully you have been warned about Hongdae because you're gonna run into a lot of Changnam from the beginning of Hongdae to the end of Hongdae. And if you do
Mm.
not know what a Changnam is, that is basically an F boy.
Oh
And you
yeah.
are going to run into a lot of them. I learned that phrase like not too long ago. So I'm definitely going to be, as I said before, I told Isaac I'm gonna ruin some people's lives with that phrase.
Oh my god. Just to be transparent with my audience as well, they used to be just called 날라리. I believe that was the
Mm.
term.
Or paramdui as well.
Yeah, 바람둥이, 바람둥이. So it's like cheater or guy who plays around.
They still use the phrase, I mean, but it's in the sense of
Mm.
cheater, right? What is it? Parampida,
Mm.
parampida, to cheat. They still use that phrase still.
Mm.
But if they really wanted to be like really insensitive about who they're talking about, they will call it male specifically a changnam.
So
Oh.
whenever I go out, people when they see me,
Mm.
I've been told that from Korean women or just people in general that at first glance I just look like a 날라리, like a person who plays around. But that's far from the truth. I swear, I just
Oh man.
stay at home. You know, stay at
Mm.
home. I like to learn and develop things.
Yeah. That, and the reason that they're telling you that, as some you may know and some others might not know, the way you're viewed is almost like set in stone.
Mm.
Perception is almost everything, but sometimes you're not really given a second chance.
Mm.
I mean, unless you can truly prove yourself in the eyes of others. Sometimes I wish that people did not take everything at face value,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's just how people see things out here.
Mm. What's it
Mhm.
like working as an African American in Korea?
Well, let's see here. As far as working here, and it's funny how I've been working here as an English teacher and teaching almost nonstop for these past 6 years. I will say that now I won't focus on myself and my skin color just yet. I do want to focus on the fact that overall, if if you, the viewer, plans on maybe teaching in South Korea, I want you to be very careful about the fact that there are a lot of major chain academies, and a lot of them are very, very grueling in a way, and especially in terms of what they expect you to do, the amount of students that you have to manage and teach, and all that good stuff, right? Clocking in, that will vary depending on the academy that you would be teaching at. So there have been times that I was able to clock in at 3 in the afternoon. It was academy that I had to clock in at 8 because I taught kindergarten students, and then depending on what day it was later, the academy related stuff, I would maybe be out of there at like 8:30. The earliest I ever been out was 5. That was great because in 2019, after Wednesday, it was like after Wednesday, or was it Tuesday or Thursday and Friday or something like that?
Mm.
We got extremely early, and by that time it was baseball season, and I had a season ticket. So I would just, as soon as I finish work, I'm going. I'm off to the stadium. You can't tell me nothing as soon as I leave. Right. So that made that fun. I've also had to clock in at 12 at another academy, but these days, since I'm teaching online in the comfort of my own home, it doesn't. It's okay, and it's not too nuts. But for the most part, I think this is law. Academies have to end at 10 p.m. Some don't. Some do break the law to some extent. There is a group of people trying to actually figure out which academies are breaking the law in some manner. But I won't get too deep into that. But for the most part, 10 p.m. max for clocking out. Most people would be like dead tired after that. Won't be able to do some of the other things that they've wanted to do. Right? They can't really get into other interests and things of that nature because just about everything is going to be closing around 10 p.m. Of course. And these days I finish up at 9, and now that I am where I am, sometimes I'm able to go elsewhere, maybe be practice with other people if I don't want to practice darts by myself. And sometimes that's great. As far as pay, you got to be careful about that because it'll vary. Again, varies from academy to academy. But most of the time they're going to be prompt. But the thing is, they will, when I say the academies, they will try to shortchange you because their expectation is no different from anybody else, trying to get the best bang for their buck. So in other words, have you doing more, thinking that you are contributing to the academy, but end up getting paid less than you really should be getting paid, right? That's pretty messed up all the same because that's happened. I feel like that happened where we first taught at. So the previous 2 academies that I taught at, but these days, I mean, it's a different story.
So just to add on that, unless you finish from one of the top 10 schools, do you think due to being African American, you got lowballed, or do you see a tendency that you get lowballed? I'm only asking this because I've personally encountered people, because people talk about their paychecks, and you can tell, like, this is not right. That like they shouldn't have started at that rate. Why is it that they're doing this? And they just completely take advantage of them. In a sense, now that I've developed this reputation, I have some connections to various academies. It's not just the ones we've worked at, many others, even within Seoul. And when I would try to help out a friend, recently I just got a phone call, and then the person's like, oh, is this person Caucasian? And are they female? And then I'm like, she's from America. She has an American passport, and I was just, it sucks.
And you know what? I agree because that happened to me when I was applying for agencies before I even came here. I was in a situation where, with one particular teaching agency, I can't remember their name right now. When I gave them all of my information, resume, cover letter, and all that stuff like that, I mean, I got a reply back from them. They said, "Well, we appreciate your interest, but we're basically looking for only Caucasian teachers." So I was like, "Okay." Fair. And now I had to move on to another agency until I got accepted. Right. That just kind of comes with the territory, in due honesty.
Yeah.
Now, if we're gonna talk about me as far as perception, someone that is an African American teacher here in South Korea, remember we talked about how perception is everything.
Yeah.
Here, right? And that's also a huge issue. So my teaching style, I will always try to make sure that I play by the book, and obviously I don't want to do anything that's going to cause any issues.
Mm.
But if you remember, Isaac, it seems that because I was too stringent on staying within the lines and not trying to get in trouble, that's what got me in trouble. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
There have been times that I've heard from both head teachers. They've had evaluations when they're looking at you teach your class and all that stuff like that. And they've always said, you know what you're doing in the class, you know what you're talking about, you're teaching extremely well, but we feel that you're far too strict. You could take the time to play games with them and all stuff like that. And I'm just looking at them almost in disappointment because I'm thinking, this is not a playground. This is where they're supposed to learn. You presented this to them, and now they're expecting it, and now you're making it hard. And then they go on to say, well, just know because of how you're teaching, there's a lot of problems of students complaining to their parents. I'm like, why? Because I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to do. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? So that was an issue I had with the first 3 academies. Now where I am now, there's not so much of that because there are little things that I'm able to do within the class to make it very interesting. Like I use a lot of sound effects in class now. Are very light. I joke a little bit more with the students just for no reason. I used to not do it because I know sometimes some of the kids can be very sensitive about what you say about them.
Yeah.
With these particular students, I get a very different vibe from them. So I'm able to do things that make the class seem maybe more fun for them. And that's caused, and this is the huge discrepancy, is cause for more praise now than complaints from the past, which I think was interesting. Now when it comes to academies, culture, and trying to present your culture and being proud of your culture, some academies will actually stifle you from doing so. Now, Isaac, you may remember a certain coworker.
Let's give them pseudonyms.
So this was Candy. This was Candy.
What the heck? Okay.
This is Candy. She came from South Africa, and of course, very proud of her heritage, and she deserves to be, right? And usually, just about every day, she was very different about her hair. Some days she would have it braided. Sometimes she won't necessarily have it, like because her hair was like somewhat on the short side. And I remember one of the head teachers coming up to her saying that having her hair short is rather confusing or rather scary to the kids or something like that. So she may have to wear a wig or something similar to that. And I was just thrown off, especially when she told me that. And also the fact that the fairer the skin, the higher your advantages are, right? So in the same situation, Candy needed a bed frame. Her bed was basically a mattress on the floor when she got there.
Yeah.
But then we had another teacher whose name I can't remember right now.
I know who you're talking about. But Joe, let's just say Joe.
I think it might have been him, but he asked for a bed frame right away and got it. But she had been asking for weeks on end, and no response.
Yes.
No response. So that was very terrible. And I even noticed this issue with fair skin and advantages in my third academy. Sometimes I would, well, not all the time, not sometimes. There was definitely this one particular situation where the AC was asking about the questions that the students are answering, because there are question types, of course. For those that know what question types are, we're talking things like factual, non-factual, inference, things that are fill in the blanks, things of that nature, right? To which I said, well, there's a good chance that many of the students are not familiar with a lot of the question types. I got waved off like I didn't know, like apparently I didn't know what I was talking about. But someone of fair skin said the exact same thing, maybe rephrased it a little bit. What did they say? Oh, yes, we agree with you, teacher. Excuse me? I just said that, and you just waved me off. What gives here, right? So it's a big mess depending on which academy that you find yourself with. So the best thing I can say is just find the one that has the best fit and also has you, the teacher, in mind.
Yeah. We obviously didn't have the same experience, but there were some things that were shared. We've worked together for so long. My advice for those who are coming in, although I am Korean, well, I'm Canadian, I'm born in Canada, because of my features, looking Asian, they overlook me too, but not to the same degree.
Yeah, because they have this strange feeling that's, wait, he's Korean, he shouldn't be teaching my student English, even though you are outright fluent in the language.
Yeah. So I have to tell them I'm either Chinese or some other race because for the parents.
Hmm.
But at the same time, there are ways that I could connect to the kids that others can't, but they won't let you play to your advantage.
Hmm.
So my advice for incoming teachers who do want to work here, just know that your first academy may not be good. In fact, it'll
Hmm.
probably be bad compared to your American experience. Legal working hours,
Hmm.
overtime pay, that just throw that out of the door first year, because I will say that if you want to stay here long term, then in your first year I really suggest being a yes person until you leave. Like, be a yes person because that person's going to be your reference. That person's going to, like, I got underpaid my first year as well.
Hmm.
And I just bit the bullet, but then they saw that I could teach, which allowed me to negotiate for higher raises to other places. And now I'm
Hmm.
in a position where it's really good. I have, for those of you who don't know me, Comma is not only just a YouTube channel. I do run my own business, an online tutoring business, and so I create tailored programs that go through the core contents: reading, listening, writing for students. But at the same time, I can tailor that material to whatever their interests are, so the student has a better understanding. Okay, self plug over, but yes,
Share
yeah,
channel, man.
because of my features as well, I've had a difficult time. But again, back to the point:
Hmm.
first
Yeah,
year,
it's.
suck it up, and then second year is when you start asking for demands,
Hmm.
because first impressions are so important in Korea. If your first impression is negative, if they have a negative
Hmm.
first impression of you, it's like that's an uphill battle you're gonna have to fight. But if it's
Yeah.
positive, then they are willing to vouch for you in some
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have to agree with that. I'm glad for the chance I've gotten, and I feel more so vindicated in the position that I am, in contrast to where I was
Mm,
in the previous academies. It just feels it's almost uplifting. The way everything has been going. Right.
yeah.